So there you are.
Welcome everyone to our latest TAD Talk, our current TAD Talk, and we welcome Sukhavaha here and the other devotees who are joining in. Today's topic will be what is the purpose of pain? And this will be a very open discussion. Everyone is welcome to participate. And before we begin, I will share a few things, details about Sukhavaha's life for those who have not had the fortune of meeting her before or just now being introduced. So here's a few details just to give us a little entrance point. Sukhavaha was born and raised as a Protestant minister's daughter and encouraged by her mother and father. Sukhavaha graduated with a bachelor's degree in social welfare from Penn State University. In 1975, at the age of 21, she accepted initiation from her Guru Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada. She was ordained an interfaith minister in January of 1992 and has volunteered her services at the Barshan Eye Camp for 2 months yearly for the last 15 years. With decades of training in various healing and coaching modalities, she empowers spiritual seekers to address their buried emotions in order to assist in their relationships and spiritual development. She's dedicated to showing the profound yet simple power of emotional maturity, of choosing words carefully. She has authored 4 books, and she's currently a chaplain and course facilitator with Karuna Care. She is also a mother of 3 and grandmother of 3 and lives near New Vrindavan, West Virginia, in a house personally built by her children and herself. So that is just a small intro into Sukhavaha, whose depth, as you will experience, is much more than that. Sukhavaha, you bring very unique and vital things to the table for discussion. And I so appreciate what you do in the devotee community, the personal work that you have done on yourself that allows you to be this wounded healer in a way, bringing your healed wounds to the table and giving a lot of hope to the rest of us who do feel brokenness, who do feel loss, to show that there is a way to redeem, there is a way to heal. So I so appreciate you and what you bring.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you for inviting me. I feel grateful and excited. I always love to engage in conversations on these kind of topics because it's not something that we normally talk about. So, yeah. And shall I begin with a prayer?
Yes, please.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we're going to just say a little prayer and get a little grounded. At least I want to be grounded. So just offer obeisances to my guru. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharne Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschachade Shatarne. Dear Lord Krishna, we are here gathered in your presence as you are the eternal witness in our lives. Please help us to be present and open and willing to examine and reflect more deeply on what you bring to us in life. help us to be curious and ask questions that can help us to see deeply, more deeply, about this topic we're going to discuss. Thank you always for being our dearmost friend and always wanting the best for us. And now we can just take a few deep breaths and just ground ourselves. So just take 3 deep breaths, 1 in breath, and then we breathe out through our mouth. So, Hare Krishna. Thank you for those of you who have joined on the Zoom. You get a little bit more time to participate and ask questions. And the topic for today is, what is the purpose of pain? And I would like to throw it out into the general audience, just a couple of questions about pain. So you don't have to answer the title question, but maybe the question, how do you feel about pain? What's your feeling about pain? If you had to give a feeling about pain. Anybody can raise their hand, please. Sadhvi. And please tell us where you're from. I'd like to
Hare
connect.
Krishna, thank you very much for having me. I live in Sweden. I was born in Iran,
Okay.
but now I'm living in Sweden.
Okay. Thank you. We see your picture.
Yes, I can't have camera on. I'm so sorry. It's because
It's
of my,
okay.
so
It's
I can't
okay.
have camera.
That's okay.
Thank you. You asked about pain. I believe I feel I have experience in my 60 plus years in life that pain is in 2 kinds. One is emotional pain, and one is physical pain.
And so maybe you could reflect, how do you feel about physical pain and how do you feel about emotional pain?
Having gone through so many health problems, the physical pain is sometimes it's so difficult that I don't know what to do. I'm just trying to breathe and thinking that it will go away. This is not me. This is not it's a body. It's so on and so on, and try to meditate on another things and concentrate in another things. So so that the pain will be eased off after some time. I don't take any painkiller ever. I don't like it because I don't feel good for it. I don't like what it does in my head. So even in the hospital after the operation, they gave me morphine because I have been surgery in 4 times in my back, which the doctor has damaged. But anyway, they gave me morphine, but I didn't like it. I had vomit all the time. I vomited. So I don't. But emotional pain, I must say that for me it's more difficult. I have more difficulty with emotional pain.
Okay, very, very, very interesting. And thank you. It sounds like both physical pain and emotional pain maybe are a little overwhelming for you.
It is, because I still don't know why I have both of them.
Okay. So that's
all my life, since I have been 3 years old until today. I still have it.
So overwhelming. Got it. And Divya Sundari said uncomfortable, and she said possibly suffocating, which would also be like overwhelming. So that's how you feel about pain. And Kamania mentioned that she felt mixed feelings, which we didn't get any details on that. And Bhakti Ras has something to share. Go ahead.
For me, I kind of think it might be a purpose of pain is that it points to something that we need to pay attention to. That there's something that's not working as well as it could. And pain is like an alarm saying, look here, address this. This really needs to be taken care of.
Yes, yes, that is one of the purposes of pain for sure. And I'm moving towards that question even more, but I wanted to also get a sense of before we really even get into understanding the whole purpose, like what do we, and welcome Mangala Chandrika, thank you for coming, I just see you there. What do we do when we experience pain? Like, what do we do? So we want to kind of just take it steps. So pain has feelings, feel overwhelming, mixed feelings, suffocating. I didn't hear from somebody else. So Divya Sundari says she avoids it. Okay. Anybody else? What do you do when you experience pain? I think even Sadhvi was talking about trying to do something maybe to distract her from the pain. That was what I kind of got. Anybody else?
When I say trying to do something, I didn't mean that I go in and drink or anything like. No. Maybe I need. Sometimes I need. Sometimes I saw. Sometimes I do something.
Yes, some activity. Yes, to engage your mind so that you don't think about it so much.
Yes.
Got it. So avoid it. Try not to think about it. Think about something else. And sometimes maybe acknowledging it and feeling it. Anybody else have any thoughts about what we might do when we feel pain? What do we do when we feel pain? Yeah. Go ahead, Kamania. I hear you.
I've tried to relax into it when possible. Just breathe into it and somehow get behind the pain. It depends on the type of pain it is.
Yeah, it does depend on the kind of pain it is. Pain is like a challenging issue because there are different kinds of pain. And so I'd like to say, let's see here. As I was taught in my early days of Krishna consciousness, and I'm just going to bring this topic in because it's often there. Oftentimes we're taught, I'm not this body. And so we're taught either directly or indirectly to neglect the body. And we're also taught that especially emotional pain and emotions could be sentimentality and Maya, illusion. Yes, this is being recorded. It's being live streamed. So yes. So for me, when I came to Krishna consciousness, and for decades in the early days of our movement, we were taught to tolerate, but not really tolerate, more like suppress our pain, push it down, do everything you can to just like ignore it. And have any of you ignored your pain? And what do we get when we ignore a pain? I thought it worked. I worked for a good 27 years in my life. 27 years in my Krishna conscious life. I also ignored some pain earlier in my life. Does anybody want to say what they've gotten by ignoring their pain?
Cry. I cried.
You cry. Okay, you cry. Okay. Anybody else? What you get when you ignore your pain?
I'd say a numbingness toward life itself.
Numbingness toward life. Yeah. Well, yeah. And a lot of times we take on one pain to avoid another pain. So like in the early days, the pain of sacrifice and pushing ourselves. And, you know, this is Krishna consciousness, you know, being so hard on ourselves and, you know, just pushing, not getting enough sleep, never having any time to, you know, converse or reflect like we're doing today. You know, sometimes we could ask a few questions after Srimad Bhagavatam class if there was time, but we got busy schedules. So, you know, 2 questions and then you got to go do your work. So I thought that I was being a good devotee and being transcendent by ignoring my pain and by taking on the pain that was handed to me to push on the movement. So this is good pain, and whatever other pain I have, I just need to like push it down. So the pain could be physical or it could be emotional. Like if I would feel angry, I'm not supposed to feel angry. Devotees don't feel angry. So then kind of pushing that down or doing something else with it. After 27 years in the movement of negating my pain and negating my emotions, Krishna kindly sent a chaos which shattered my world. And in that chaos, I got to see a truth that I hadn't seen before. And that truth was I wasn't a very advanced devotee. And that was a little disconcerting. Wait a minute. Come on, I did everything right for 27 years. I should be a pure devotee by now. Did I just waste my time? And I know sometimes devotees do come into the movement with this enthusiasm to give it all and to push. And it's not that that's bad or wrong. However, we can't buy our way back to Krishna. That's not Krishna consciousness. We actually have to transform our consciousness. And so when I had this rude awakening that I wasn't really as advanced as I thought I was, then I realized I had to do some work on myself. I realized that, my goodness, what I thought was Krishna consciousness wasn't, and my relationships, I didn't have real relationships. They were all just work. And I only knew 2 ways to talk. Either you tell me what to do and I do it, or I tell you what to do and you do it. What else is there to talk about except when we go to Srimad Bhagavatam class? I didn't really understand how to connect with others because I had no connection with my own self and with my own feelings. So a lot of times we take on one pain, a pain of sacrifice, a pain of being really hard on ourselves. And we take that pain on voluntarily to feel better about ourselves. So interesting, we take on pain so that we feel better about ourselves. So that's an interesting way to look at pain. But that pain is a self-sabotaging pain because it doesn't honor and nourish who we really are. When we negate what Krishna has given us, when we push down what Krishna has given us, we don't get the blessing in what he's giving us. So Krishna gave us pain for a reason. So let's look at some of the pros and cons of pain. So Bhakti Ras brought in that, pain is meant to tell us, let's pay attention here. like there's something to look at here. So do any of you have any thoughts about what are some of the pros and or cons of pain? If you would like to comment. Comment. Go ahead, comment, Nia.
It is sobering, and it makes us get serious.
Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And that's a great word, sobering. That's what happened to me when I got hit with all that emotional pain. I was so distraught and so upset and angry at Krishna that I should be pure by now. I wanted to kill myself. Very sobering. I'm not what I thought I was. I'm not a devotee like I thought I was. And I'm not really happy, and I'm angry at Krishna. And oh my gosh, what a wake-up call, a very rude awakening. And that was really at first hard to take. Now, again, I was talking about Krishna sending blessings. Of course, sometimes his blessings don't occur to us as conditioned souls as blessings because they're painful. And then when we avoid the pain, we don't get the blessing. We miss out on what Krishna's trying to give us. So, are there any other thoughts from our audience here about maybe what are some of the pros of pain? We've gone over a few. Pain births compassion. It helped me to be a kinder person. That's what someone has written in the chat. When we feel pain, and we can feel it and acknowledge it and allow it, it helps us to really understand our humanity. Like being a soul in a human machine is one of the most challenging lifetimes that there is. It's just a challenging birth because animals, they're a soul in a body, but they don't have this brain up here, which adds a lot of meaning to what happens. So if there's a deer and the coyote are chasing the deer runs, she gets to safety, but she doesn't talk to our friends and say, those coyotes are so mean, they're awful, we need to do something about them, we need to start a coalition, we need to fight back with these coyotes. She runs, she comes to safety, it's gone, done. Now with us human beings, because we have this reflective ability, it's a gift. There are demigods waiting in line to take birth in this human machine, but it is so challenging because then we actually have to contend with all the things that are happening, and we will contend with pain. Now, it does say in the scripture that this material world is a place of misery. We're told that. What happens when we cover the misery or push it down or distract ourselves from the misery? What do we get from that distraction? What do we get from that avoidance? There must be some payoff, otherwise we wouldn't do it. Anybody want to put in a little suggestion? Bhakti Ross, do you have an idea?
Well, this is a big topic for me, and it's hard for me to just even wholesale swallow the statement that this place is a planet of misery.
Yeah.
no longer accept that as full and complete, or even underlying life.
Okay.
I actually find this world beautiful, amazing,
Yes.
Miraculous. What an opportunity to be able to come in contact and experience the divine in a very full and embodied way. So thinking that the world underneath everything, the baseline is misery, the baseline is suffering. I'm just not buying it.
Great. Great. Thank you so much for bringing that into the room, because, this is something that we're taught. And so, like, when you have this conception of the world, it's almost like you're resisting the world. You're resisting life. You're resisting other people. You're resisting anything that happens to you that doesn't feel pleasant. And you don't get blessings when you resist. When you resist anything, whatever you resist, it actually, that's what causes pain. Sometimes our resistance causes pain. So I want to say something about blessings and resistance. And I'm just going to give an example in my life, and then I'll call on you, Sadhvi. Just one moment. For over 40 years of my life, I resisted being in a female body. I resisted it. I was angry. When I was little, I had an older brother. I wanted to play with him. I wanted to be a boy. I was a tomboy. It's not fair. You love my brother better than me. And then when I came to be a devotee, oh my gosh, I really got cheated. Now I got to stand in the back of the temple room, and I'm cheated. And this is awful. And being in a woman's body, there's sometimes have been experiences of being treated less than. However, when I got into my 40s and I started accepting my femininity, I saw there were so many gifts within femininity that I didn't see before because of my resistance. I was trying to become a man and just resisting all that there was in the female experience. And when I started allowing myself to experience, femininity and all its gifts, oh my gosh, whoa, I had missed out on so much. So, see, Krishna is always wanting to gift us. This is my perspective. And he never wants to hurt us. Never. He never wants to hurt us. So then why sometimes do we get pain? Why sometimes is there an experience of pain? And I'm going to answer the question, like, it's one of the purposes of pain from Krishna is to shake us up, to wake us up so that we don't stay in unconsciousness. Now, oftentimes in this world and in material consciousness, we think that pain is bad, so we avoid pain, and then we're looking for happiness. And we're just trying to do things that make us feel happy, and anything that makes us feel uncomfortable or a pinch, we resist, we deny, we suppress, we blame other people for it, and it just takes us into more pain. And this dichotomy of thinking that happiness, and when things are when I'm happy, or when things are enjoyable or going my way, that's a sign that I'm blessed, or I'm a good person, or I'm Krishna conscious. This happiness and distress duality really brings a lot of it keeps us in duality. So then when we feel pain, we try to quick fix it with a quick fix solution so we feel better. So we avoid it. That's like a quick fix solution so we feel better. Now, if we're just looking for, if we think that Krishna consciousness and happiness are equated, we're missing some points here. And I'm not saying I'm not saying not to be joyful, but I'm saying just happiness or peacefulness is not Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is very deep and it involves a lot of emotions. Now, if we name some emotions bad and some emotions good, then sometimes we miss out on gifts that Krishna wants to give us. So I would say pain is like a wake up from Krishna. Like you said in the very beginning, Bhakti Ras, pay attention, wake up, Jeev Jago. There's more to Krishna consciousness than just feeling happy. Yeah. And so again, like that's why a lot of times, even as a young devotee, I could understand why people would want to go to the impersonal Brahmajyoti because I didn't like pain. I was resisting pain. I was avoiding pain. And so, but avoiding pain and just finding peacefulness and just trying to make happiness perpetuates our stay in the material world or the Brahmajyoti, one of the two, and it doesn't get us connection with Krishna. So go ahead, Bhakti Ras, please.
Yeah, I also have a divergent view on that Krishna gives us pain so that we, like, oh, Krishna arranged this so that I could learn blah, blah, blah.
Uh-huh.
I feel that every encounter, every event that we encounter holds the potential of a lesson.
Yes.
And that Krishna doesn't necessarily make an arrangement for a particular thing to happen so that I can learn something else. But that potential to learn is always present. And it's just what I need at that moment that draws that out of the out of the existence of all potential.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It's that what I need, it's being called forward out of all of the potential things that could be happening.
Yes.
This is being drawn forward for me, but not necessarily arranged. Like the arrangement is there all the time in everything. And
yes.
We look back and we say, oh, that was Krishna's arrangement. But so was everything else.
Yes.
That we didn't do.
Yes.
And everything.
Wait, say that again. So was everything else that what?
That we didn't pay attention to. That also was Krishna's arrangement.
Yes.
It's like more, I feel more of a co-creation with a lot more agency on our part than
yes. I don't think that's a divergent mentality, and I would agree with that. I just like to bring in Krishna because it really helps me that I have a personal relationship with Krishna, and he is giving me opportunities, and he is directing me, and some things I'm not ready for, and so he, like you said, the things that I'm doing and that I'm not doing, out of all the potential, we are co-creators. And so if I'm not ready for a certain thing, then my co-creation will go in a certain direction. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Or? You're not going to see it. And I've thought often like a mystic.
Yes.
Have a crisis over looking at a flower.
Mm-hmm.
The same type of crisis that I would need by having my world collapse.
Mm-hmm.
A mystic could have, simply by looking and experiencing the presence of being within a flower, you know what I mean? So it's not that Krishna placed that flower in front of him so that he would see it, or Krishna put something in that blade of grass for Mahaprabhu to learn the lesson of humility. But that lesson is there all around. And just so happen to embrace that grass. And then we could say, oh, it was Krishna's arrangement. But everything is Krishna's arrangement.
Yes, for sure. But the realization becomes apparent by our readiness and our openness to see that potential and to see Krishna in every event that's happening.
And I think that is the mercy. That is
that is the mercy
of our teachers to see in that way.
Yes. And I agree with that, because I really feel that Krishna only wants to bless us.
Yes.
And there's so many blessings that are there ready for us.
Exactly.
And we don't get the blessings when we resist what is. When we resist what is, we create a lot of pain. Yes. We create pain by resisting what is coming. So, so I'll just give an example. Childbirth is a painful experience generally. And they teach women that when you're having a contraction, when you tighten up and resist the contraction, it's going to hurt more. And they actually teach women how to breathe and relax into the pain of childbirth. Now, of course, the pain of childbirth brings a gift of a child. So there will be some discomfort, let's say, sometimes in the world. And we have given that word pain such a negative identity. We have really, given it such a bad name. There will be discomfort in the world. But that's not because we're bad or we're shameful or somebody's doing something wrong or Krishna is doing not paying attention to me. A lot of it is, am I open to receiving the blessing and the gift that's coming to me in the way it's coming to me right now? And so that is the difference between like the discomfort of what's coming to me and the suffering. And I wanted to talk about the difference between quote unquote pain or discomfort and suffering. So something comes to us that we didn't expect, we wouldn't have necessarily chosen. It could be surprising, it could be disconcerting, it could be confusing. There could be a lot of things that are our initial response to what's happening. Now, it could be uncomfortable. Okay, when we start to ask questions and be curious, oh, what's going on here? What is there for me to see in this? And be curious, we can start to receive some blessings. And when we resist, we actually create more pain and suffering because Krishna only wants to give us blessings. And when you resist the blessing, you don't get it. And then you're like, I'm not getting any blessings. Yeah, but they're there all the time, every day. Okay, so I just wanted to see people are chatting and I can't follow and all the chats and talk at the same time. That's a little tough from my brain. But are there any questions or comments that someone wants to say right now in regards to what I just said there? Go ahead, Bhakti Ras.
I just have a quick thing. the difference between, you mentioned animals earlier.
Yeah, yeah.
So to me, it's like animals, I think, experience pain, but they don't experience suffering.
Exactly. Exactly.
We write the story of suffering into pain.
Yes, 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 yes. And that's the potential of this co-creation. We can create anything out of nothing. So somebody could just look at us like this and we could think, oh my God, they hate us, they're my enemy. We could create that because we have the ability to create. Or we could just say, oh, I wonder what they're thinking. And they may not even be thinking about us. Who knows what they're thinking about? But that's the potential in our creative ability and our free will that Krishna gave us, and this ability to reflect that we have that animals don't. They don't add stories, they don't add beliefs, they don't add scripts, which means they don't add more suffering. They just run from the pain. Okay, they're safe, and then they're on with the next thing. Okay, what is there to eat now? They don't get stuck there, and we get stuck there a lot. So thank you for bringing that into the room. Now, there was somebody that made a comment, which I'm having
There's
trouble.
another question in the chat that says, what's the difference between pain and suffering?
Okay.
And is suffering one of the perceptions of pain?
Suffering is definitely our perception, and we can create so many varieties of suffering by the script and the decision and whatever we make up in our head about what happened. Even if someone is in reality an enemy and trying to hurt us intentionally, we don't have to make it mean that. We can make it mean, well, they're doing that. Just like Maharaj Parikshit, think about it. Now, he was cursed by a Brahmin boy for making, a little offense against his father. I mean, maybe it was a big offense, but, nothing to, warrant his death. Now, Maharaj Parikshit could have nullified that, and he could have counter-cursed. He could have done anything. Instead, he took it as a blessing. Okay. And because he took it as a blessing, it became a blessing, not just for him, it became a blessing for all of us. And that doesn't mean that when people mistreat us and shame us, that we, just stand there and allow them to walk all over us, but we don't have to retaliate. And we don't have to stay in their company. We can move to a place where we feel more supported and encouraged and understood. Maharaj Parikshit was certainly an example of, very high, elevated consciousness, and he took it as a gift. So it just shows that depending on how you take the circumstance, you may be able to turn it around and turn it into something so amazing by participating with Krishna in that. Now, when we're not on that platform and someone is actually hurting us and we don't have the capacity to rise above it or, see it as a blessing, we may need to remove ourselves from that situation so that we can, in fact, see, okay, this is what I can do, and this is how I can see a blessing. I can see a blessing that, oh, I'm getting to see that this person is not a person I want to be around. And that can be the blessing. So we don't try to imitate, somebody else, but we do what is appropriate with where we are at in our current consciousness. And that's the best that we can do at that point in time. I just wanted to bring that in there because, go ahead, Bhakti-Rath.
I really appreciate you using the word capacity.
Yes.
But that's really what it is. What do we have capacity to handle? And in a way, we can think of it as a transmutation of taking something that might be a negative thing. Do we have the capacity to ingest it in a way that it becomes nourishing?
Yes. and Lord Shiva could drink poison,
Exactly.
I'm not going to be doing that. Yeah. So we have to really use our intelligence. And this is what Prabhupada and Krishna wanted. Use your intelligence to discern what I can do, what I can't do, what's favorable for my Krishna consciousness and what's unfavorable for my Krishna consciousness. And that means I have to know what I can and cannot handle, my capacity. I think maybe Sadhvi had something to say and maybe Shri had something to say, and I don't want to neglect those questions. So go ahead. Whoever.
Sadhvi had her hand raised.
Go ahead, Sadhvi. Do you want to say something?
Hare Krishna, thank you. It's kind of difficult. I have a difficulty that's, but when I was a child, I always believed in God, the creator.
Yes.
And I always believed that the pain and suffering and problem, it comes from devil, because I was born in the Muslim family.
Okay.
So in Muslim family, they believe that way, that God is good, God is creator, God is that, God is that. And then the problem is from the devil who's create all the suffering, all the problem, and so on.
Uh-huh.
And until I learned about the Krishna consciousness, I understood, okay, it's different than what I have learned in my childhood.
Okay.
But I have a scenario. I would, if it's okay for you, I mention, and then I want to please ask you to tell me how should this person react. I know someone.
Another person? We're going to bring another person's scenario into here?
I know someone who has gone through many, how to say, torture, abuse from the family, from the sibling, and so on and so on. This person tell me that when she was 8 years old, she just ran away from the family. Okay. And she managed to live the life without going back to the family, and so on and so on. And she managed to be a mother and so on. But when I talked to this person about Krishna consciousness, Krishna love, and so on, she told me something that now I'm asking you, when someone has been tortured in so many years, gone through so many different pain, and now how to say, someone says, you know what, yes, I was there, I saw that you were tortured, I saw everything, I didn't help nothing, I just let you to go through all that. Yes, I did it, but now you get to love me because I can help you from here. And she says, what is love then? Because she never have been loved herself by mother, by sibling, by father, and now suddenly you should love. What is love?
Yeah, well,
could you please
someone who has not experienced love in their life and has experienced torture and pain will have, they will have a lot of trauma, a lot of trauma, and trauma, can be stored in the body, and trauma can also be stored in mental scripts of shame, like I'm a bad person, but she ran away from her family. So she at least had some sense that this family is not the family that I want to be. And that was intelligent. However, living on your own when you're 8 years old, that's pretty tough. That was, I'm sure, above her capacity to really, she survived.
Yes, however, I believe she told me that she was homeless until she was 16 years old.
Exactly.
And then she was yes.
Exactly. So I don't want to get too much into the details of just but so she experienced trauma and she didn't experience love. So it's hard for a person who's had so much trauma who has not gotten any trauma therapy to then understand what is love. Where is the context for her to understand what is love? So now I really can't do too much about that person. That was their experience. That's what they went through. And we all have experiences in our life, different experiences, so, she may not be able to, understand where you're coming from or even understand God's love because she didn't ever experience any kind of love when she was little. And we get wired pretty early on in life. We get wired up. And so she just was wired for survival and she survived. So that's one circumstance. So that's not really what I'm talking about here. So what I'm talking about here is, pain is a conversation, and pain is a perspective, and pain does help us to pay attention. If everything just goes so nicely and there's never any disruption in our life, sometimes we just wish our life was just smooth and there was no disruption, right? But when you go to a hospital and they do the EKG and there's a line on their EKG, what does that mean? Does anybody know what that means?
They're dead.
It means they're dead. So life has ups and downs and fluctuations for reasons. And this one lifetime is not our only lifetime. There are many lifetimes, and we are living in a continuum. So this life that she's living is part of a continuum, and it may be a part that was kind of like a rough part. But she's eternal. There's more to her life. That's what she got at this point in time. So life is ups and downs. Pain is meant to make us aware. If it was just smooth, we would stay here and we wouldn't really grow very much. We would just be like stagnant, So life, and especially spiritual life, is very dynamic. There's a lot of emotions. Okay? Now, I want to say something. I want to bring something else into the room about pain. We put labels on certain emotions as negative and painful. We put negative connotations on anger. We put negative connotations on sadness and grief. We put negative connotations on frustration, even depression. We put negative connotations on these emotions and say that they're bad and they're painful. All of those emotions are wanting to move us in certain ways. Depression wants us to look more deeply. What's going on? Sadness wants us to grieve and feel. Anger may want us to take action and, stand up for something. But when we put those emotions as negative and push them away, we're working with half of a tool bag. So maybe you have a hammer, but you don't have a screwdriver. Okay, but I only have screws and a hammer. You can't hammer in a screw. So you're missing a whole repertoire of emotions that Krishna has created for us to help us to navigate and reflect and wake up and become alive in life. And these different emotions, none of the emotions are bad. Even, some can have detrimental effects, but that's when they're used in extreme. So I'm just going to say the emotion of guilt and shame. So guilt is a pinch. It's like our conscience, like, that wasn't really so nice what you just said to that person. Maybe you want to say you're sorry, like a pinch. It's a pinch. However, when we don't take that pinch and we don't say we're sorry, then we think, oh God, I was such a jerk. Why did I say that? And then I didn't apologize. And now I can't apologize because it's been 2 days and they're going to think I'm an idiot. And here we go with the mind making all this suffering up. When with that pinch of guilt, I just had to say, oh my God, that didn't really come out so nicely. Maybe let me try to say it a different way. But we don't do that because there's so much extra stuff going on. We haven't simplified our lives or our consciousness yet. So all of the emotions have a purpose. That's one thing I want to say. So go ahead, Bhakti Ras.
Not just a small addition is
yes.
Padmanabha the other day, Padmanabha Maharaj shared that he recently found this discernment between guilt and shame. Guilt is about what we do.
Yes.
But shame is turned inward and it's about who we are.
Yes.
So that was just demonstrated in the example that you gave.
Yes.
Oh, I did this one thing.
Yes.
I felt guilty about that.
Yes.
But then it automatically went to, that means I'm a bad person.
Yes.
Blah, 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 blah.
Yes.
And again, it's all the story we write.
Yes. Yes. Right? Yes. Yes. And that's the suffering.
Yes.
There's guilt, and we didn't pay attention to the guilt. We didn't just say we're sorry right then. We couldn't admit that we made a mistake. But then that perpetuates it and it grows and ferments into shame. And then, oh my gosh, and then I'm carrying all this shame and then it's so heavy and then I can't breathe. And yes, and a lot of times the emotions that we neglect or suppress, they don't just go away. I thought they did. They don't go away. I got all mine full force when I was 47. All the ones that I had stuffed simultaneously. It was really overwhelming. They don't go away. A lot of times for women, we are fortunate because our hormones tend to open up our emotional pain body once a month. And when we hit menopause, it's like the barn door opened, the garage doors opened. So we have sometimes access to that. Men, on the other hand, don't always know how to connect with their feelings because they're taught from almost the age of 2 or 3, be a man, don't be a sissy, don't cry, grow up. And yeah, men don't cry.
Boys don't be sensitive. Don't be
sensitive. Yes. Don't be a sissy. And so they're actually trained and taught to suppress. So it is harder sometimes. They're coming around for men to express. However, where do you think their pain goes when they suppress it? Does anybody know where it goes? I know you do know. You do. Do you know, Bhakti Ras?
I was going to take a stab at it. I don't know that I know. I don't know that I know, but I was going to take a stab.
Go ahead, take a stab.
I kind of think it goes into their work.
It could go into their work. That's more like a distraction.
Yeah, a distraction. Their senses.
Yeah. It actually goes into their body.
Yeah.
It actually comes out in their body. Now, this is a gift of Krishna. See, Krishna gave us this body, and sometimes we think we're not our body, but that doesn't mean it's not a gift. It's a gift, and it's got a lot of good things. The body cannot lie. The body doesn't know how to lie. So when you're feeling a pain in your body, it's telling you the truth. Sometimes when we feel mental pains, it could be, oh, I'm so bad, I'm good. Is that the truth? Well, there's a lot of lies we tell ourselves and scripts that we tell ourselves that cause a lot of suffering. But the body, when the body feels pain, it's telling us something. Hey, pay attention here. And so a lot of times when we suppress our emotions, it starts coming out in our body. We hold our emotions and our stress in our shoulders or in our backs or in our stomachs when we tighten our stomachs. And I know a lot of people, a lot of men have ulcers, like holding on, suppressing all that emotion in their stomachs, just holding it in. So the body does not know how to lie. And so sometimes if we don't pay attention to the emotions earlier on, it will come out as a bodily thing. And one devotee said that, he told me that his father at 96 had cancer. And, but then his father started dealing with his emotions and started forgiving and letting go of his anger and frustration, even at 96, and his cancer went into remission. And so, there's many studies that show that our emotions and sometimes physical illnesses are connected. So, when we can work with our emotions and be with our emotions and not label them as bad, then we can actually process them and integrate them and use our brain to not make up stories, but to understand what's actually what we've gone through and what to do about that. So you want to say something else? Go ahead.
Again, it seems that sometimes we think that, and this is just coming to me now, that emotion is like a thing. But emotion to me is a language.
Yes.
And it carries a message. And
yes.
Not that emotion is a thing. And
yes.
we're not just supposed to stop at the emotion, but listen actually to what is that emotion telling us? Where is it pointing us to? Where are we going with this? Why is this rising up now? What wants to be heard? What needs to be listened to? It's a voice that we have.
I like that. I love those words. Emotions are a voice and a language expressing something that maybe we didn't know was there, or expressing something that we need to hear. I love that.
And we wouldn't know it unless we had that emotion.
Yes. A gift again. So now I just wanted to move just to one kind of like finale about pain. When we suppress what we think is negative, when we suppress one emotion, because they're all connected and intertwined, when we suppress one, we actually suppress them all. Now, we are bhakti yogis. We are wanting to develop love and a relationship, developing our relationship with Krishna, the Supreme Lord. We want to develop that relationship, and we want to have love of Godhead. We want that love. And when we suppress our emotions, when you suppress one, you suppress them all. We're not going to get love through suppression. It's not going to happen. Now, I want to say one more really, really, when I really got this, it opened up my mind a lot. Love and pain are intimately connected. Intimately connected. What? Love and pain are intimately connected? Ask the gopis about love and pain. Now, if we've ever had an experience of loving anybody in this world and we've lost them, they've passed, or they've moved away, there's grief. There's sadness. We've lost something. That grief and that sadness is a pain connected with that love. If we didn't have a connection and love that person, we wouldn't feel the pain. Now, Krishna, he meets and then he separates, and then he meets during the day. He meets his cowherd friends. Then he goes home and he meets his parents. And then at night he meets the gopis. And in the morning he meets his parents. There's always someone that's feeling separation and someone that's feeling the meeting. This is like the EKG in spiritual life. It's dynamic. It's alive. It's moving. It's the ebb and the flow. It's the seasons. It's the waves coming in, the waves going out. It's movement. If there's no movement in water, it's stagnant. It ferments, and all kinds of nasty things can fester there. So love and pain are intimately connected. And if we want love, we will experience pain. And in our pain, when we don't resist the pain and we just are curious and really, open to, Krishna, what can this pain tell me? What can this pain express to me? That pain can break open our heart. It may break our heart, but it's not meant to break our heart. It's meant to break open our heart so that we can experience the growth of love. Now, we all love Krishna. Maybe sometimes as little kids, oh, I asked Krishna, I prayed to Krishna and he gave me this and I love Krishna, so we all have some love for Krishna. We also have existential grief. We don't exactly know who we are. We don't remember who we are. We're not fully connected with Krishna. And so we miss Krishna. Existentially, there's an existential grief there. And so our life is an evolving of our love, and it's an evolving of identity crises and identity crisis, when you hear the word crisis, that sounds like pain. Identity crisis, pain. But these are meant to keep breaking us open, and we're shedding the skins that are too tight, and we have to grow. And why do we have to grow? Because Krishna is ever expanding. He's growing. And life means growth. If you see a tree is either growing or it's dying. It doesn't just stay the same every year. It needs pruned sometimes, it needs a haircut, but it doesn't stay still, it's growing. This is life. And spiritual life is even more so a growing process. And we're here in this life to practice our ability to grow and to, let go of the skins and the beliefs that keep us stagnated. Okay, so I've said enough on that. Kamaniya has a comment, and then Bhakti Ras. Go ahead, Kamaniya.
Hey, Krishna. I'm not going to mention the name, but somebody wrote in the chat that one thing I've learned that everything is for Krishna's enjoyment. So I accept and offer my pain to the Lord. And I've not thought of pain as being for Krishna's enjoyment before, so I'm not sure if that was the word this person meant to choose, or I'm not sure, but I was wondering if you could address that.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that to my attention. You know, I went through a lot of pain of hard work and sacrifice for the Lord. I did a lot of that in my early days. And, you know, Krishna wants us to grow, and growth can be painful, but he doesn't want us to be in pain. He wants us to grow. So there's a difference between pain and the growth pains that we experience as growing. You know, it's not like we're flagellating ourselves or, you know, cutting ourselves or, you know, pushing ourselves beyond our capacity, you know, and that's going to give Krishna pleasure. Krishna wants us to be happy, and he understands that, you know, we are where we are and we have to take steps to grow. And he doesn't expect us, say I'm a 2-year-old, he doesn't expect me as a 2-year-old to immediately be an 18-year-old. He doesn't expect me as a 2-year-old to understand physics. He's not like that. He understands where we are, and he gives us opportunities to take the next step and the next step and the next step in our growth process. And that never ends. And that's why, you know, all of our acharyas, you know, they write and they're even deeper and deeper and deeper because they're continually growing their understanding of what's been shared with them. So, you know, I would be a little leery that my pain gives Krishna pleasure. I would say my growth gives Krishna pleasure. My wanting to grow and being willing to be with the discomfort of growth, that can give Krishna pleasure, but he doesn't like to see us suffering. And we suffer a lot, self-imposed, self-sabotaging, you know, scripts that cause us so much suffering. And that causes Krishna suffering because we're a part of Krishna. And that's, I think, why people say this material world is a miserable place. It's miserable because our minds can make it pretty miserable. So that would be my qualification on that. Does that, I hope that answered that person's question. What do you got to say about that, Kamaniya?
Yeah, they weren't asking a question, they were making it as a statement, and I didn't,
statement. Okay,
it didn't sit so well with me.
It was
yeah, and they specifically they were talking about pain from childhood trauma and abuse. So,
well,
thank you.
Yeah, so specifically childhood trauma and abuse could be dealt with a therapist, because that really helps to then integrate that experience into a greater and deeper understanding, rather than to be repeated and repeated again and again and again throughout our adult life. And I'm just destined to suffer because, you know, that's my lot in life and I should just suffer for Krishna. No, maybe I need to heal from my childhood trauma and have another perspective about why I went through that. Maybe I went through that trauma so that maybe I can help others in their trauma, you know, or sit with them and be with them. But he doesn't really enjoy us going through ongoing suffering that sometimes we perpetuate with our scripts. Okay, thank you. And he loves us even if we do perpetuate our pain, because maybe that's the best we can do right now. So he still loves us, but he does not want us to, he doesn't like to see us suffer. He doesn't like to see Radharani suffer. You know, he takes her to the edge, but then he comes back. You know, he doesn't like have her total, like, I mean, she goes to the furthest extent. We can't go to that extent, but he knows, you know, you got to come back now, you know, and so he always comes back. Yeah, that's a whole nother story. Go ahead, Bhakti Ras.
Well, one connection that I make between pain and love is that both of them are so intense that our false soldiers, the things that we use to prop up our lives, have a tendency to fall apart. Like when we're in pain, nothing else really seems to matter. That lunch, does it matter that I didn't cook lunch? I didn't fold the laundry. When we're in intense pain, that stuff that fills our day with extraneousness.
Yes.
No longer there.
Yes.
We are experiencing intense love. It's the same thing.
Yes.
Right? Who cares about the folded laundry when they're in love? The world is looking so awesome.
Yes.
Same with the pain. So I think in those two things hold an intensity like no other thing.
Yes.
It
Beautiful.
destroys our false soldiers.
Yes. And our false, go ahead.
Our false everything. So that we can be present.
Yes.
In the moment.
Exactly.
Present to the presence of the divine.
Yes. Beautiful. Thank you for bringing it. Yes, that intensity just, knocks out, all the relative truths and the relative important things, just knocks it all out and, be here in this moment, and feel this. And if we can't at least a little bit acclimate ourselves to feeling that intensity of pain, and I'm not saying we self-inflict ourselves with pain, but whatever, it comes naturally because Krishna wants us to grow and, we are where we are. And so there's steps for us to take. So when we don't resist that intensity and we take it on, we get to see something more, we get to grow. And if we're unwilling to experience that pain, we will experience a different kind of pain, which doesn't have all the side benefits and blessings and realizations of the pain that comes with love. Yeah, that kind of pain. So, what is pain wanting to tell us? What's the purpose of pain? Be present. Wake up. What's going on here? Be curious. Pray. Be open. All these are gifts of pain to just really deepen our relationship with Krishna. And if we're just looking for peace and quick fixes and happiness, there's the heavenly planets. That's happy. And there's Brahmajyoti. That's peace. But we're not going to be getting a relationship and bhakti with Krishna until we finish with that episode. Yeah. So, yeah. I'm aware of the time and I see a couple other people joined. Thank you for joining Nirantara and Neha. And yeah, any questions, comments, reflections, conclusions? Anyone have anything to say? Sadhvi?
Yes, you mention all the time growth. Yes. What way growth you mean? I don't understand that growth. In what? In Krishna consciousness or in what?
The growth is on all levels. The growth is on, being able to integrate what's happening in our life as part of our spiritual life. The growth is in being able to be curious and that Krishna consciousness is not a box and all the answers are not written in stone. Krishna consciousness is being in the moment and seeing what's appropriate in the moment And so that may be a growth spurt for us, because a lot of times we just want quick answers. And I liked being in a box for a number of decades because it was simpler. Just tell me what to do. I don't want to think. Tell me what to do. I don't want to have to figure it out. Make it easy for me. And Krishna consciousness is a participatory relationship with Krishna. It's not an artificial imposition on the mind. It's not, memorizing all the scriptures and knowing everything that the scripture says. It's in bringing those scriptures into our life and bringing them alive in our real life that we're living now, in our relationships, in our exchanges, in the words that come out of our mouth, in the thoughts and the actions that we have. So it's spiritual growth, and it's emotional growth. It's a maturing process. It's a growth of taking personal responsibility. No one can make me Krishna conscious. My guru can't make me Krishna conscious. Krishna can't make me Krishna conscious. They want to help and they give guidance, but no one can do it. No one can eat my food and digest it for me. No one can chant. No one can even do whatever's going on in my brain. That's my personal responsibility. That's my personal growth. Okay, one last thing, Sadhvi, and then I'm going to,
I'm sorry. You say no one can do anything for me but myself. That I understand.
I didn't say no one can do anything.
For me, for me, no one can do anything for me but myself.
No, I didn't say that. That's not what I said. I said no one can eat and digest our food. No one can make us Krishna conscious.
Exactly.
Krishna
okay, I'm sorry.
Consciousness is a development and a responsibility for us to transform our consciousness and reframe and see what we're resisting and taking responsibility for our thoughts, words, and deeds. No one can do that for us.
I understand, but may I ask, what about maybe it's meant for me to still be in that place I am? Because nothing happened, as I believe very, 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 very strongly, nothing happened without Supreme Lord's sanctioning. Nothing. That I believe very, very, very strongly. So if Krishna doesn't want me to not to feel pain and to understand what love is and so on, it will not happen because he doesn't sanction it, right?
Well, that's part of the equation, but it's not like it's
he
not.
Said it himself.
I hear what you're saying. It's
not me that's saying it. Krishna himself say it in many places. I'm the controller. I'm the doer.
Yes, Krishna is the controller and he is the creator. And he gives us free will, and he gives us intelligence, and he gives us an ability to co-create. He gives us those abilities. Now, if I'm saying, okay, whenever you're ready, give me Krishna consciousness, then we're not using our free will, our intelligence, and our co-creative ability that Krishna's given us. It's not just Krishna. It's a relationship. It's a relationship, and we do our part. It's not like, okay, Krishna, here I am. I'm sitting here. If you want me to go back to Godhead, you will make it happen. You'll drag me back. That's like a little child saying, drag me back. We need to stand up, hold Krishna's hand, but we need to move our feet. We need to create something. We need to create some movement. It's not that we just are not participatory. It's a participatory relationship. So yes.
I understand.
Yes, so that's all I'm saying.
By my chanting, by my reading, by my attending to the classes, by my following all the principles. I understand that. That is my movement.
Yes,
I understand.
Yes. And there's more movements that may come later on that you didn't imagine, you know, earlier on. I found other things that there were for me to do, you know, later on in my Krishna consciousness. So just be open and see, maybe, is Krishna wanting me to do something a little differently? Is Krishna wanting to show me something more that I didn't see before? You know, is Krishna asking me to do something more? You can just be curious and ask Krishna, and he'll certainly reciprocate with you.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. Go ahead, Bhakti Rasa. You have anything to say? I didn't get the chance to interact with everybody, but
no, that was great. If you're ready, we can bring this to rest.
Yeah, and if anybody, do you have anything to say, Neha? I see you on the screen. No, nothing. Okay, all right. Yeah, I just want to thank everybody, especially Bhakti Rasa, you know, for really participating in the conversation. If it's just me, I'm in control of this little 1.5 hours, you know, you just get my perspective. But because of your participation and your input and your questions and your thoughts, more blossomed by this participatory relationship in this class today. And that's what relationship does. And I thank you all for your participation and for your presence, and my obeisances to all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you too as well, Sukhavaha Prabhu. And this is like what you just said is demonstrative of our relationship with the divine. You know, he also receives more when we participate with him. You know, it's not like like he's done being who he is and he's experienced everything he's ever going to. He has yet to experience us. You know, we are still on the agenda of the becoming.
Yes.
So, just like this, just as the participation was enriched by each other showing up in different ways. In the same way, you know, the divine feels that also, that his life is enriched by our participation in his life.
Absolutely perfect. That is like the primo, I don't want to say ending, but the primo,
the fireworks display at the end.
The fireworks at the end of this. Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you for bringing everything that you did and sharing your wisdom and the healed, again, like I said in the beginning, the healed wounds, the healed pain that you allowed yourself the courage to look at, to experience, to feel, to sort through, and to put it within its place, to integrate your humanity in the context of your spirituality.
Yeah.
That's a huge thing. And I thank you so much for demonstrating that.
I am grateful. I'm grateful, and I'm grateful to continue on that day after day after day, because we're eternal.
Yes.
It's more
Forever and ever.